puts her hands on my chest, and then she climbed on top.
I felt so betrayed. We're only 5 months in the marriage.
I wasn't thinking about my marriage, wasn't thinking about my children. I was just thinking about getting busy.
There was a lot of foreplay. I was making her feel like a woman should feel how I would want to feel. I didn't want to stop.
I had needs that needed to be fulfilled, and she didn't want to fulfill them.
He was a liar. He was a cheat. He was no good. I didn't know if I wanted to be with a woman or if I wanted to be with a man.
She puts her hands on my chest, and she proceeds to kiss me. I was absolutely caught up in the moment. I felt bad in the sense that I had cheated on my wife, and I felt like there was a possibility that Dionna and I was a mistake.
When I met Sal, I was 31 and he was 30. When I saw him, I wanted him. He was gonna be mine.
She smiles from ear to ear, and when she comes into a room, you definitely feel her presence. I was a single dad, 2 kids. I was working full-time and raising the kids on my own.
I had 5 kids when I met Sal, and it was so hard.
Dionna and I helped each other out when it came to caring for the children.
My attraction to Sal really was the fact that he was a great father to his children and to my children.
At the time I met Dionna, we had very busy schedules. I was an emergency response coordinator. Dionna was going to school full-time to become a registered nurse. We both wanted the same thing, which was to ensure that our families were well taken care of.
He is the yin to my yang. I mean, we just fit.
So the relationship continued, and within 6 months, Dionna became pregnant.
I had mixed emotions about having another child. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is baby number 6. I just finished nursing school. I'm about to start my career, and I'm setting myself back again.
I started to think about all of the children together, you know, my kids, her kids, another child. It seemed very overwhelming at the time. But I knew I loved Dionna, and I wanted our family to be together as a whole.
We exchanged wedding vows in January of 2010, almost exactly a year after I had the baby. And that's when we blended our families. Altogether, we had 8 children.
I would say it was like a real-life Brady Bunch, except we had a lot more complications.
When I got married, I think I had this whole fairy tale, happily ever after type of idea. It didn't go the way I had it in my head. We got off to a bad start, honey. A real bad start.
When we blended the families, we didn't sit down and discuss finances. With time, it seemed as if the finances were strained.
I personally think it's the man's responsibility to provide for the family.
We had the mortgage that we had to pay for. We had utility bills. We had cable bills. We had cell phone bills.
It is so expensive to maintain a family of 10. The food bill alone was over $1,000 a month. To supplement the costs, I worked too. I was on call at night. Because I was on call, I think to Sal, it seemed like I didn't do anything for a living.
I felt like it wasn't a stable income. I questioned if I was solely a financial provider to Dionna and the family. There were times that I would think to myself, is this the reason why Dionna wanted to have this marriage? Is it strictly financial reasons?
I think he did what he felt was right by marrying me. But over the next few months, I felt like Sal wasn't in love with me. It was more like a business relationship.
Dionna would tell me that she loved me, but I didn't feel that Dionna loved me. One day I was at work and I received a phone call that changed everything. I received a call from my ex-girlfriend, Jill. Jill and I broke up before Dionna and I got married. We still had a very strong tie. Jill explained to me that she was going through a breakup. She needed a friend that she could talk to. We made plans to meet up for a late lunch that afternoon. But Dionna didn't know I was going to meet up with Jill. I felt like the meeting with Jill was something that Dionna would get upset about, so I didn't inform Dionna. When I met up with Jill, she began telling me what was going on. Then she started to inquire about my marriage. She knows some of Deanna's past friends, and they've told her that Deanna's an opportunist and she'll take advantage of any situation. It definitely got my wheels turning. When Jill and I finished the lunch date, we made plans to keep in contact.
I'm extremely intuitive, and I felt that Sal was not being honest. Women's intuition won't hold in court. I needed proof. I was on the hunt for clues. I had my magnifying glasses, my Jane Bond suit on. I was gonna find out what he was doing. One time, I saw Sal write his email password down. So I went in his email. Lo and behold, I found some pictures. The woman in the photos, she had this two-piece bathing suit. You know, her boobies all hanging out and stuff. This was like, you know, real sexy, seductive, you know, come get me type of photo. And the woman was Jill. I was so pissed off. Why are you sending that to my husband? I was ready to let Sal have it. So as soon as Sal came home, I told him, "So, I found some pictures in your email."
Dionna said she had broken into my email. I was really angry. I felt that a level of trust had been betrayed.
I wasn't sorry for looking. You should be sorry that I found something.
I told Dionna it was an extremely old picture.
I despised Jill contacting my husband. I basically told Sal, you know, you can't put yourself in compromising positions with this woman.
Our marriage was on very rocky terms at this point. After meeting with Jill, my personal thoughts started wavering as to whether or not the relationship with Dionna was one that I should have made. A week later, Jill and I decided to meet at a club. I ensured that I had some really nice clothes on and that I smelled good. And when I showed up to the club, Jill was there with one of her girlfriends. We started to reminisce about the old times. She mentioned to me that she loved me dearly and that I've always been the one that she's loved. It made me feel good. I would say it rekindled something within me for Jill. By the night's end, Jill was supposed to go home with her girlfriend, and I had offered to take her home. Instead of going home, we decided to go to the hotel. I wasn't thinking about the consequences. I wasn't thinking about my marriage. I wasn't thinking about my children. I was just thinking about getting busy. We went into the room. She went into the restroom. When Jill came out, she had on her bra and her panties only. She was within the light of the bathroom, so I got a really good look at her body, and that was extremely appealing for me. She stands right between my thighs. She puts her hands on my chest, and then she climbed on top. She took control. I was absolutely caught up in the moment. Immediately following, it was one of those uh-oh moments. Like, what have I done? At this point, Dionna and I were married for 5, close to 6 months. I felt bad in the sense that I had cheated on my wife, and I felt like there was a possibility that Dionna and I was a mistake. So as I'm laying there on my back, we end up falling asleep on the bed. When I woke up in the hotel, it had to be around 7 o'clock in the morning, and I started to think, what was I gonna tell my wife? Jill was the aggressor, and when I woke up in the hotel, it had to be around 7 o'clock in the morning, I started to think about what I was gonna tell my wife.
I'm like, gosh, I can't believe he's still out there like this. He had never stayed out overnight, ever. At first, I started thinking, it's gotta be another woman. So then 6 o'clock came, 7 o'clock came. I'm like, something could have really happened to him.
On my way home, I was rehearsing the lie that I was gonna tell Dionna. I actually picked up some breakfast food to kind of appease things. When I got back home, I told her that I was at a friend's house and that we were drinking heavily and I had passed out.
What a lame excuse. He had no alcohol on him at all when he got to me. If he was drunk to the point where he passed out, he would have still reeked of alcohol. It was a big lie, and I knew it. I cannot stand a liar. He had the nerve to come in with McDonald's breakfast for me. Gee, thanks.
I thought she would probe more. She didn't dig any deeper. She left it as it was.
I think a big part of why I didn't say anything, number one, I didn't have total proof. But also, we have a house full of kids. I felt so betrayed. At this point, I'm questioning my marriage with Sal. It's just not making any sense to me. We're only 5 months in the marriage.
Our ex-relationships, we can hold those relationships very nostalgically, especially if we're going through some difficulties in our current relationship. A lot of times we don't think about the reason why they're an ex. I think that can start out really innocently, but then turn into something really damaging very quickly.
Over the course of the next few weeks, I knew that she had an idea that I wasn't telling the whole truth.
Silence is golden, and I was silent. I still cooked. I still did everything I normally do, but I just had no voice. I wanted to leave Sal, wondering what my next move was.
So after I was almost caught, I continued to see Jill. I started to care about her again. At this point, I'm feeling that the marriage with Dionna is maybe not meant to be.
Sal wasn't thinking of all that he had at stake. He really wasn't thinking about his family. He was thinking about his own needs. He was operating like his emotions were fact.
few weeks later, myself and some business associates went to a nightclub. I was having a good time. I wanted to have some fun, so I decided to call Jill. I flip open my phone, I scroll down, I see Jill's name, I click on it. As soon as the phone picked up, without even hearing the voice, I started to talk to Jill and tell her that I wanted her to come over. I heard a voice, and the voice didn't sound like Jill's. I heard the voice on the other line say, "Sal, I can't believe you're cheating on Dionna." My mind was spinning out of control. I was sweating profusely, but I felt sick to my stomach. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I heard the voice on the other line say, "Sal, I can't believe you're cheating on Dionna." At this moment, I realized that I didn't call Jill my ex. I called Jill from our church.
I called Sal. He's taking deep breaths. I say, "What's going on here? What's up?"
I was sweating profusely, but I felt sick to my stomach. I told her the entire situation. Dionna seemed deeply saddened by what I had just told her.
I was very angry. And then I think my next emotion was, I want to vomit. I start picturing those two intimate together.
When I came back home, she already had her bags packed.
I told him, I need to get out of here.
So I told her I would take care of the kids, that I would take care of everything, so that way she can have some time to herself.
At this point, I am done with Sal.
The kids really didn't know what was going on. They just knew Mom needed some time away. And I knew my life would never be the same. I knew that my marriage to Dionna was the most important relationship in this world. And I was gonna do whatever it took to make it work. I ended everything with Jill immediately. I told her that I loved Dionna and I wanted my marriage. I explained to Dionna that I was willing to do whatever it took to restore the marriage. I was willing to go to counseling.
Agreeing to go to therapy was definitely not to say, I'm taking you back. I think I was just really curious about it. Can therapy help him? Because obviously he has a problem, not me.
When I first met Sal and Dionna, I thought their situation was challenging. It felt like it was bleak.
Therapy was very difficult. It unveiled a lot about ourselves.
The biggest thing that I got out of therapy was realizing that Sal wasn't the only one that had problems. I learned that maybe I should have been more communicative with Sal.
I realized that Jill was one of my weaknesses. I had to do away with a lot of selfishness because I'm a married man, I have a large family, so there's a lot of me that needs to go around.
It's extremely difficult to repair damage from an infidelity. Dionna had lost almost all trust in him, and he was very wounded and wondering how he could even begin to repair the damage that he'd done.
I not only broke her heart, but I broke her trust. She was very distraught about what had occurred.
I never thought I would get over the betrayal. It was just too much. Marriage with Sal is worth all the hard work. Even though he fell short, he just took on everything. He was very open to counseling. It just showed me that he was somebody different, somebody special.
It definitely was an unfortunate mistake. We not only went through it, but we grew through it.
I am so glad that you took on the challenge and that you accepted responsibility for what you had done, and you decided that you would grow into a better man because of it.
I thank you for all that you've done for me. I appreciate your heart, and I love you for that.
There was a lot of foreplay. I didn't want to stop. I never thought I'd betray my husband like that. I was so confused. I didn't know if I wanted to be with a woman or if I wanted to be with a man. When I met Keith, I was 22 years old. Keith was 35.
You know, me and Dawn never really thought about the age difference. She seemed like she had rhythm and soul.
What attracted me to Keith was his style, his whole persona, the way he walked like a man. It was very attractive. A year after I moved in with him, I ended up getting pregnant.
When we first found out Dawn was pregnant, I was really ready for a family.
Having a family was important to me because growing up, I didn't have a family, and so I wanted my kids to have a mother and father. Over the next 3 years, we welcomed 2 daughters in our lives.
2 months after our second daughter was born, we decided to get engaged.
I was so excited to get married to Keith. I was gonna have security, and I was gonna have a man that loved me. My father walked me down the aisle. It was one of the special moments in my life. I hadn't seen my father since I was 9 years old. My father left us. And then over the years, me and my father, we weren't in touch that much. When we reconnected, I took the time to really get to know my father. He took time to get to know me.
It filled a big void for Dawn, and she was very happy, and that made me happy.
But a month after my wedding, my father passed away from a massive heart attack.
She was devastated. It's like when her father died, she died.
I would stay in the bed most of the day. I didn't want to come out of the bedroom. I didn't even want to interact with my family.
To see Dawn in a dark place, it was very scary because I wasn't used to something like that.
Keith took on a lot of responsibilities. He had to play the role of both parents at that time.
We had a newborn, and it was kind of difficult because I had to work, cook dinner, take care of her.
In the beginning, Keith was understanding, but it was difficult to have sex with Keith at that time because in my mental state, I wasn't ready. I was depressed.
It was very hard. You know, I had needs that needed to be fulfilled, and she didn't want to fulfill them. It would be weeks that we didn't get intimate with one another sexually, and it became months.
I just didn't want to be touched.
It made me feel unwanted.
6 months later, I started feeling like my old self, and I went grocery shopping. When I got home, Keith answers the door in his boxers.
I didn't expect Dawn to return home so fast.
He runs into the back room. He closes the bedroom door. When I walked in the room, I saw another woman in my bed, in my husband's clothes, eating a bowl of cereal.
She started yelling and calling me every name in the book because she was very upset.
In the midst of my father passing away, me falling into a deep depression, finding my husband with another woman in my house, I didn't think anything could get any worse. I didn't know what I was gonna do. In the midst of my father passing away, me falling into a deep depression, finding my husband with another woman in my house, I didn't think anything could get any worse. was just asking him, who is she? Why is she in my bed? Why is she even here?
The girl was in such shock that she left. Don was just raving mad, so I tried to defuse the situation by trying to explain to her that this was just a friend.
I just didn't believe him at all.
Don took it the wrong way and thought that that woman was sleeping with me because she was in the bedroom.
I told Keith he was a liar, he was a cheat, he was no good. So after this, I was suspicious every time Keith left the house. Every time his phone went off, I always thought he was pillow talking. I didn't trust anything that he did. It was so hard for me to forgive Keith because I felt like he stepped out of our marriage. He broke our vows.
It's very hard not to have trust because I think I showed her that I was there for her. So for me, it was very difficult because I constantly had to defend myself. No matter where I went or what I did, it was like we were separating, coming apart.
Trust is the foundation of a relationship. Once trust is lost in a relationship, the repercussions are pretty serious. And then what people do, they sabotage the relationship.
Over the next few weeks, things were really tough at home. Me and Keith weren't getting along. So I felt like I should go out and have a drink with one of my friends. So that night at the club, I'm with my friend, and I just so happened to turn around, and I saw Regina. She had a really pretty smile. She had a nice little style about her. I thought she was fly. So as the night is going on, I can feel her watching me. I just couldn't stop looking at her in her eyes. She was beautiful to me. I couldn't explain it, but I was intrigued by Regina. I really wanted this woman, and it shocked me. So the night ends, and she comes up to me, and she's like, you know, can we exchange numbers? And I'm like, yeah. So we exchanged numbers. So the very next day, me and Regina are texting back and forth. She tells me, call me. So I called her. We had a lot in common. We both were married, we both had kids, and we both didn't trust our husbands. As I got to know Regina, her personality was so positive. She was just a good person just all the way around. My feelings for Regina were strong. She was everything I just wanted that I couldn't find in a man.
I was happy that Dawn found a new friend. She started beginning to get out of her depression.
I started fantasizing about Regina, making love to her, kissing on her, touching her, caressing her. At first, it was just a curiosity about her, but now I'm actually really wanting to do the things that I'm fantasizing about. I never had these type of feelings before for a woman. I knew that she wanted me and I wanted her, but we didn't know how to approach that situation. Almost a year after meeting Regina, she suggested that we go out to her cousin's house. So I tell Keith, I'm like, hey, me and Regina, we're gonna take the kids, we're gonna stay the weekend. So while we're up there, we settle in. So I have my own room, Regina's got her own room. I couldn't sleep. So I kind of creeped into Regina's room and we're talking. I'm like, man, when is she gonna make a move on me? Am I gonna make a move on her? So Regina suggested that we play Truth or Dare. While we were playing, I asked Regina, had she ever been involved in a relationship with another woman? I was shocked because she did. So she dared me. I dare you to kiss me. I was so confused. I didn't know if I wanted to be with a woman or if I wanted to be with a man. Almost a year after meeting Regina, she suggested that we play Truth or Dare. So she dared me. I dare you to kiss me. I was so confused. I didn't know if I wanted to be with a woman or if I wanted to be with a man. So I kissed her. It felt good. After I kissed her, it was on. After that, it was on. After a year and something, I'm like, I finally get to kiss this woman. I didn't want to stop. It was my first time having sex with a woman. It was a little awkward. I didn't know what to do. There was a lot of foreplay. I was kissing her on her neck. I was licking on her. I'm caressing her, making her feel like a woman should feel how I would want to feel. I'm touching her in spots that probably didn't have no business doing, but I did it, and then we had sex. As I was lying in bed, I started to think about my marriage with my husband, Keith. I was thinking about my kids. I was thinking about my life with Regina. In one night, I felt like my whole world has changed.
Occasionally, Don and Regina would go out of town with the kids to Regina's cousin's house. And I didn't think anything of it because it was a normal thing. It was okay.
I didn't really feel guilty for cheating on Keith because of the incident that had happened with that other woman. I felt like we were even. After that first night together, me and Regina saw each other as much as possible. To the outside world, we were best friends. To each other, we were lovers sharing an immense bond. My feelings for Regina were limitless. I adored her. I loved her. I didn't really categorize myself if I was bi, straight, lesbian. I just felt special around her. My biggest worry at that time was Keith finding out and Regina's husband finding out. Neither one of them had a clue that me and her were intimate.
I started seeing Don and Regina laying on the bed watching the movie together, and that should have been me laying on the bed, but it seemed like she had just totally came into the household and took my spot. I'm not a dumb man. Things like that made me suspicious of them being a little bit too close. When I asked Dawn to stop seeing Regina so much, she went off on me. She just got very belligerent, very hostile.
A part of me wanted Regina and Keith at the same time. I wanted to keep them both because Keith was the father of my kids. He was my husband. He was, my support as far as my stability. He was somebody that was gonna be there at the end of the day. But I didn't want to stop seeing Regina because I loved her.
I started hearing a lot of rumors from other people about Don and Regina. They were in clubs, they would be slow dancing together. Don would just tell me that they were just friends, and that's all. I wanted to believe Don real badly, but my mind was running like crazy. I didn't want to accuse Don of anything unless I had proof. And I didn't have proof at that time.
Keith saw signs that there was an affair going on, but it's difficult to trust one's instinct because what that means is so painful.
My suspicion was so real, I wanted to know for sure, so I had my friend follow Don to see what was really going on with her and Regina.
One night, I told Keith I was going out. So me and Regina, we go to a gay bar. We're having a good time. We're kissing, touching, partying, drinking, doing what girls do, being in love.
My friend called and told me that she'd seen Don and Regina at a gay bar.
Then I get a call from Keith. I didn't know if I wanted to answer the phone, but I did. And he's all, Don, where you at? I'm like, I'm out, not at the club, dancing.
I got in my car. As I drove over to that club, my head was just going like crazy. Even though I knew the truth in my heart, I didn't want it to be a reality. When I saw my wife kissing another woman, the fear that I had became a reality.
All of a sudden, Keith calls again. He says, why don't you look to the left? I look to the left, and there's Keith. My heart must have fell so far in my stomach. We're having a good time. We're kissing, touching, partying, drinking, doing what girls do, being in love. I turn my head, I look to the left, and there's Keith. I freaked out. After getting caught by Keith, I felt numb. I told Regina that she needed to leave. I didn't want her to get involved.
I was seeing my whole marriage, my whole life just drop down the hole. It just disappeared.
I wanted to downplay things with Regina to Keith because I didn't want to lose my marriage. I confessed to Keith that I was sexually active with Regina, but I didn't tell him I was in a relationship with her.
When I found out that Don and Regina was together, I was blown out. I was just like devastated. Don said that she was bisexual. And I asked Don, well, how come you didn't tell me that before I married you? And she said she didn't know.
After I finished arguing with Keith, I left. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was terrified that my whole life was gonna change, and it wasn't good.
At this time, there was no communication whatsoever. There was just anger and arguing. I was thinking, what's gonna happen with my kids? What's gonna happen with our marriage? I decided that me and Don needed therapy because my whole motive was to save our marriage.
I agreed to go because I needed to find out why Keith did the things that he did to hurt me in the past. I needed to find out my sexual preferences, if I wanted to be with a woman or a man.
The biggest problem for Don and Keith when they first met me was that they both had such a sense of betrayal and such deep distrust for each other.
Keith never confessed to the fact that he slept with a girl, and I felt like he was lying.
I wasn't cheating on Don at the time. It was difficult because she thought I was, and I know I wasn't.
I didn't know if I could ever trust or forgive Keith.
When Dawn met Regina, she had these feelings, and at first she thought they might be fleeting, but it didn't turn out that way.
I didn't want my marriage to end, but I didn't want to leave Regina alone either. I kind of wanted Keith to accept the fact that his wife was with another woman.
I was never open at that time to have a relationship with my wife and her female friend.
I felt like me and Regina were soulmates. I wanted to spend my life with her. Me and Regina talked to each other about leaving our husbands to have a life together. I felt bad because I didn't want to lose him, but I felt like getting the divorce was the best option.
I knew that our relationship was bad, but I didn't think that she'd go to the extent of divorcing me. So when I received the divorce papers, it was devastating. I cried, I broke down.
When Regina decided to divorce her husband, I told my family about the relationship. They welcomed her with open arms. My family saw how genuine she was, how much she loved me, and how happy I was. But we broke up because Regina didn't want to come out and be open with the relationship. She kind of wanted to live two lives. It was very devastating to me. We were together approximately 5 years. I felt like I struggled the whole time to be with this woman and made so many changes. It was like a slap in the face to me.
Things have changed since our divorce for the better. We went from enemies to being friends. Me and Keith weren't able to communicate as well when we were married, but now that we are friends, I know more about him now than I ever have.
I'm able to accept her for who she is and not what I want her to be. And that's what makes it good for me with her now, is that I know who she is. And I think that's what made our friendship even greater than what it was.
I would date a woman again. I consider myself bisexual. I like the physical aspects of a woman. I like the bond that I'm able to have with one that I can't establish with a man. I love him, and he's always going to be a part of my life, no matter what.